relentless, determined, disciplined, smart. They've got a lot of things going for them. The spirit beings that we're facing. They're not afraid. They don't have any problems with unbelief. Not a single one of them ever doubt exactly what's going on. Some of us, we're not even sure if we believe there is such a thing as a war. That's a problem. We got problems on our side here. We're facing, one of the smartest beings that has ever lived, and a lot of our people really aren't even that smart in human terms. Some of our people are in love secretly with the enemy side, with the other side. What James talked about. They've fallen in love with the world system. They love it. They wouldn't say that in church, but that's what their life seems to suggest. And if friendship with the world means enmity with God, I take that verse seriously. John says the same thing. In 1 John 2, he says, if anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. This is an either-or choice. Okay? Since the world system is the kingdom of Satan, according to the Bible, he's repeatedly called the king of the world, the god of this world, the ruler of this world, the prince of this world, and the church is the kingdom of God, there is no middle ground between those two. God says you have to pick sides. And if you're not going to be on my side, if you're going to get on his side, then I'm against you at that point. You cannot have friendship with him and me both. This is the enemy of God. No, that's not allowed. And if it's not allowed for us, it's not allowed for our children either. Why would our children be exempt from that? That's what confuses me. I took the workshop today on parenting prodigals, which I thought was quite good. But I realized as I sat there that some of us have had the tragedy of a prodigal child who has rebelled against our leadership, has turned away from the Lord. There was nothing we could do. And some of the parents I know in our church, I was looking around the room and I knew a lot of parents were suffering this kind of heartache. But I realized there's different kinds of prodigals. There's that prodigal who rises up and rebels and throws off their parents' instruction and turns aside into the world. Other prodigals are different than that. They're just gradually losing interest in the things of God. And in some cases, though, the parents seem to be encouraging them to invest even deeper and deeper, and it appears that their parents want them to fall in love with the world system. Why would that be okay for our kids if it's so wrong for us? That's a different situation there. In peacetime, you feel like I don't see any particular danger threatening us. That's the way I feel here as far as in the physical world. I guess a bomb could fall here tomorrow. I don't think so. Doesn't seem very likely. We're not in much danger here. And for that reason, too, there's really no good reason why anyone should have to perish. It's peacetime. Come on. Not in war. Neither of these would be true in war. In war, we're in mortal danger every single day. The nature of war is that. And we see people perishing all around us on a regular basis. In war, we advance under fire. And we see people falling to the right and to the left. It's scary. It's unnerving. And we still have to bear forward. War, very, very rough. In a peacetime mentality, I just can engage in certain activities and then until I'm tired of them, then I just take a break. But in war, there are no timeouts in war. You can take a timeout. The enemy's not going to take a timeout. If you're taking a timeout, that would be a pretty good time for an attack. Right there, wouldn't it? As a matter of fact, again, you read the accounts of war and the exertion is to the utmost extreme, to incredible extremes that people exert themselves to complete exhaustion. That's just the way war is. You can't stop fighting in the middle of a battle. just because you're tired. You'll die if you do that. So it really means that we have to lean out a lot further. There's a lot of exertion going on here, no question. In war, you better believe there's exertion. Yes. You say, well, I don't know, I feel a little burned out. So what? That has nothing to do with anything. There's a war going on here. In a word, in peacetime mentality, the stakes are pretty low. It's like, I'll get out to church. I'll go to church unless something comes up. But I'm going to go to church. And so that's kind of the peacetime mentality. I try to get out to church, as often as possible. Well, in the wartime mentality, the stakes are way, way high. It's life, it's death, it's desperate. It's just a different paradigm. It's just a whole different way of viewing the world. That's why peacetime mentality Christians can't understand what all the fuss is about. They look over at Christians in the wartime mentality and they're like, come on, get a grip. Settle down. What are you getting all fanatical for? And so forth. They just don't get it. And I'm afraid we've got a pretty sizable portion of Christians in America that are right in that spot. That's their mentality. Christians with a wartime mentality, sharp, they're committed, they're intense, they're aggressive, they're fighting. It's a whole, yeah. And that's what you need if you're going to win a war. Better have people doing that. Well, so, I don't know, people could argue this, I guess, and say, now, you're talking about World War II, you're talking about these human all-out wars and all of that, and you're trying to build some kind of theological base on that, you're trying to use these illustrations. I don't know whether that really fits. Is that fair? Oh yeah, I think it totally is. As a matter of fact, the stakes in our war are much higher than in any human war, human on human war. The worst they can do is kill your body. We are facing a situation where people are losing their souls. Satan destroys lives in the millions. And it's happening right in front of us here. Right around us. This is desperate. This will be vicious, savage war. Spiritual war can be expected to be very rough, very tough. Lives shredded right before your eyes. I've never gotten used to that. I've been in this now for decades, and I still stand here, and every time I see a Christian friend that was running well, shredded by the enemy, you just sit there and you just can't get used to it. It's awful. It's horrifying. And he's real good at it, too. The pains we suffer through spiritual war vary. There's a lot of different ones. I'll throw out a few. Yes, there's a pain of doing without. The peacetime Christian can go out and spend all his time indulging themselves and so forth, pretty much orienting life around self-gratification. So there's going to be all these awesome things they get and things they own, and they're going to be enriching themselves. And people with a wartime mentality have chosen to set that aside. We've chosen to mobilize ourselves all out for the war. And naturally we'll be doing without. This is what Paul's referring to when he says no soldier in active duty entangles himself with the things of the world. You can't afford to do that. He says to Timothy, suffer hardship with me as a good soldier of Christ. Paul often referred to his guys as soldiers. They're like soldiers. Yeah. Wonder if we could be described as a soldier. Some of us probably could. We should. It's biblical.